Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Israeli security forces launched a manhunt for 6 Palestinian prisoners that were incarcerated for terror-related offenses who managed to escape from a high-security prison. The Islamist Hamas organization threatens Israel with renewed hostilities unless Jerusalem lifts the blockade on the Gaza Strip. Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi announces that the Islamic Republic is ready to re-enter into nuclear negotiations on its own terms. 6 Palestinian prisoners who have been incarcerated for terror-related offenses escaped from a high-security Israeli prison late last night in what senior-ranking police sources described as one of the most serious security breaches to have ever occurred in the country.
בשעות הלילה התקבל דיווח על בריחה של 6 עצורים ביטחוניים מכלא גלבוע. מרגע ההודעה אנחנו במצוד אחריהם עם כוחות גדולים מאוד של משטרה, צבא, ליווי של שב"כ לאירוע הזה. המצוד הזה נמשך בשעות האחרונות, כאשר המטרה שלנו לשים יד על הברחנים האלה מהר ככל האפשר.
One of the escaped prisoners was identified as Zakaria Zubeidi, a former commander of Fatah's Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade in the West Bank city of Jenin, who was incarcerated over masterminding a large number of terror attacks that included the murder of many Israelis. The 5 other prisoners who escaped were all identified as members of the Palestinian Iranian proxy Islamic Jihad. Nevertheless, Police District Commander Ben Shabo asserted that there are no special instructions to the Israeli public other than to maintain alertness. In response to the exceptional incident, the Islamist Hamas organization congratulated what it termed the unique freedom operation by the heroic detainees in Gilboa prison and called upon all Palestinians to provide them protection regardless of the sacrifice. Furthermore, the Islamist rulers of Gaza threatened Israel not to hurt the escaped prisoners or face dire consequences. It is important to know that the threat level toward Israel comes amid an increase of tensions on Israel's southern front, with security officials in Tel Aviv voicing concern over possible hostilities that may erupt during the high holiday season, just 3.5 months after Operation Guardian of the Walls concluded. Consequently, the IDF has deployed reinforcements and additional Iron Dome aerial defense batteries along the Gaza front and raised the level of alert. It is important to explain that while Israel has been gradually increasing its humanitarian assistance to the residents of Gaza in recent weeks, ever since it reached an agreement with Qatar, Hamas officials have described Jerusalem's relief measures as insufficient and are demanding that Israel immediately lifts the blockade on the Gaza Strip. According to a Hamas spokesperson, Abd al-Latif Kanoa, who was quoted by the Palestinian Shihab news agency, the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip are determined to have all their demands met and will not accept any more humanitarian measures. If Israel does not acquiesce to Hamas's demand, Kanoa added, its activities against Israel will escalate in a variety of ways. One of those methods include terrorizing Israel's south with balloons, a message that Hamas instructed its operatives to deliver over the weekend.
نحن الآن في الشباب أحفاد الناصر نقوم بإطلاق البالونات المحملة بصور الشهداء الذي اغتالهم العدو الصهيوني في الإرباك الليلي، وصور تهديدات في اللغة العبرية التي يفهمها العدو الصهيوني، وهذه كرسائل أولية. ونؤكد العدو إذا استمر في حصاره على غزة الصور البالونات المحملة بالصور سيكون يعني بدلا لها الشعر الحارقة والبالونات المتفجرة.
Meanwhile, amid public criticism over the way which the Israeli military dealt with Palestinian rights along the Gaza-Israel security barrier, which led to the death of Border Police Special Operations Service member Bar'el Hadaria Shmueli, Prime Minister Naftali Bennett emphasized that decision-making by commanders on the battlefield may inevitably result in occasional error. However, support for the IDF must remain firm.
יש כרגע בשטח חיילים ששומרים עלינו בגופם, ומפקדים שנמצאים איתם. תמיד מקדימה, תמיד בקו הראשון, זאת הדרך של צה"ל. אני רוצה לשלוח מכאן מסר ברור ללובשי המדים ולאזרחי ישראל כולם. אני מגבה את מפקדי צה"ל ואת חייליו באופן מוחלט. צה"ל שומר עלינו כל ימות השנה, תפקידנו פה בממשלה ובעם ישראל לשמור על צה"ל. כמי שמכיר את שדה הקרב, כמי שפיקד על חיילים, כמי שאיבד את הטוב שבחבריו, אני יודע שכשמקבלים החלטות באירועים מבצעיים, יש שגיאות, ולפעמים השגיאות הן כואבות וקשות, אבל ככה זה כשנלחמים באויב, וצריך לגבות את החיילים ואת המפקדים במיוחד כשיש שגיאות.
The Israeli premier went on to deplore political figures who cynically rebuked the IDF for political gain. Following the weekly cabinet meeting and ahead of the Hebrew calendar's New Year, which is marked tomorrow, Prime Minister Naftali Bennett published a filmed holiday greeting in which he emphasized the crucial importance for the Jewish people to face challenges together.
So when we face the challenge of hatred for our mere being, be it in the form of anti-Semitisms or the attempts by Iran and its proxies to destroy Israel, it's our resilience and defiance that make us even stronger. Today, we must live proudly without fear. Jews cannot be afraid. Our people are not united only by a common past, but by a shared purpose, a destiny of doing good, of being a force for good in this troubled world. But for that, we have to be strong. Be strong and do good. That's what we're about. We're an ancient people that's overcome the odds to achieve the impossible miracle called the State of Israel. We're a nation that's filled with hope, that we don't give up easily and we celebrate life. So here's to a year of new beginnings and new achievements. May we all be inscribed in the book of life, Sefer HaChaim, Shana Tova, to all of you.
Ahead of the Hebrew calendar's New Year, or Rosh Hashanah in Hebrew, Israeli President Yitzhak Herzog hosted foreign diplomats at his residence in Jerusalem, during which he highlighted that while the Jewish state always seeks to partner with countries who seek peace, it is similarly committed to confront countries who plague the Middle East with hatred, incitement, and terror.
The State of Israel will always be a willing partner for all these countries in the region that choose the path of peace. The second choice, that of evil, which continues to plague our region, is that of hatred, incitement, and terror. And the State of Israel will always stand firm against those in the region that choose the path of war and hate. Just look at the nations that Iran and its terrorist proxies have poisoned in their extremist agenda. Look at Lebanon, for example, our neighbor in the north, which is being torn apart by radical terrorists supported by Iran, its economy in ruins and shambles, and its tranquil past destroyed. Pity Gaza, where Hamas's regime of terror uses innocent Gazan children as human shields. And let me echo essential Israeli policy. Israel will stand firm in its effort to prevent Iran from acquiring any nuclear weapons.
Meanwhile, in Tehran, Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi announced on Saturday that Iran was ready to re-enter into negotiations regarding its nuclear program with world powers, but not under Western pressure, claiming that these tactics do not generate results.
من قبلا هم اعلام کردم که ما حتما گفتگو و مذاکره رو در دستور کار دولت خواهیم داشت، اما نه با فشاری که دارن دنبال میکنن. و این فشار آوردن همراه با گفتگو قبلا جواب نداده. بارها تجربه کردن امریکایی‌ها، اروپایی‌ها که این گفتگوها جواب نمیده که میخواد همراه با فشار باشه. اونی که ما دنبالشیم در این گفتگوها رفع تحریم‌های ظالمانه است.
The pressures which the Iranian president refers to includes crippling economic sanctions as well as demands by the United States to receive written assurances from the Ayatollah regime that it will engage in negotiations on Tehran's ballistic missile program and aggressive regional behavior. However, President Raisi highlighted that these demands are out of the question, claiming Tehran's ballistic missile program and regional policy are non-negotiable interests of the Iranian people. The Iranian leader went on to blatantly claim that U.S. presence is a cause of instability to global security, trying to make this point by referencing the American disengagement from Afghanistan.
مسئله افغانستان نشون داد که امریکا حضورش به هیچ عنوان در هیچ کجای دنیا امنیت ساز نیست، بلکه مخل برای امنیت در دنیا. در افغانستان هم این 2 دهه کاملا نشون داد که وجود امریکایی‌ها و حضور امریکایی‌ها باعث بسیاری از تضییع حقوق مردم افغانستان شده، ضد حقوق بشر، ضد حقوق انسان کارهایی که انجام شده و این برای همه قابل تحلیل و بررسی است.
Ironically, President Ibrahim Raisi remains sanctioned by the United States over human rights abuses in relation to his direct responsibility for the murder of tens of thousands of Iranian dissidents. Thank you for watching us. As part of TV7 Israel's prayer initiative, I would like to encourage you today to join the team and me here in Jerusalem to lift up the people of Nigeria in prayer for their salvation and peace, alongside prayers for our persecuted brothers and sisters worldwide, in addition to our ongoing prayers, of course, for the peace of Jerusalem and the salvation of Israel. I'm Jonathan Hesson wishing you a Shana Tova U'Mevorechet, and we will see you again tomorrow at the same time.